The DVD we're going to have a look at is about Tonfa. This is a Tonfa. Now this one I've had made personally, but you can buy these from any reputable martial arts shop, right? I do recommend that you have a long shaft on this as opposed to the short Okinawan one, and you'll see why when we're making the DVD. To practice the movements, I'm going to come into Yoi, which is a ready position. I've got my feet together, hands by my side, I breathe in through my nose, and then I take my right leg out and just close my fists in front, taking a tight grip onto the Tonfa with my left hand. First movement I'm having a look at is a rising block and forward stance. I'm going to step forward and block with this. Now when I'm doing this, I need to turn my hand into the Tonfa, so that way it locks the Tonfa down onto my arm and I've got a nice strong position. Other hand is just back onto the hip. I'll turn around this way so you'll get a different position. I step forward and block coming out onto it. And finally, if I turn around here so you can see this way, I raise up and block. Outside forearm block and forward stance. Holding it in my left arm, I swing it out and block out to the side. Tonfa is making a nice contact point with the outside of my forearm. If I change my position, I move forward and block out. And again, from a different angle for you, I move and block. Inside forearm block and forward stance. When I'm doing this, I'm bringing my right arm over my left and blocking out. I'm holding the handle of the Tonfa, and for the last movements it was to the outside. Now what I'm doing is I'm switching it the opposite way, so it becomes an inside forearm block and forward stance. If I change my position over, again I can block through, and changing around so you can see a different angle, I move forward and block. Outside forearm block, forward stance. Now what I'm doing on this, I'm swinging the Tonfa across my body, so if an attack is coming in here, I raise my arms up, my arms have gone to my left side, and then I swing across and do a block with it. So move in and block. Change my position for you so you can see a block. Now I'm bending on the back knee, but I'm still looking forward. And around to this way, arm comes out to the side, arms have gone across the waistline, this is to my left side, and then a block to finish. Downward sweeping block and straddle stance. Now what I'm doing on this, I'm crossing my arms over, so my left arm goes to my right shoulder, right arm comes in front, I look, move into a straddle stance position, so I'm dropping my stance down and swing the Tonfa out to the side. So I cross, swing out, bring it back. If I move forward this way, so you see a side angle position, I strike out, bring it back. And from the back part on it, I've come into my straddle stance, swing out and back to finish. I've come into a fighting stance, and all I'm doing is a jab. I'm using the Tonfa to strike forward, but I want to move my front foot, so I move, jab and move back. If I turn around this way, I move, jab and back, and then over at this angle so you can see a different shot, jab and then move back. I'm going to put a couple of strikes in, and the first one's going to be a reverse strike. You could almost call it Gyakuzuki as a reverse punch. I'm going to step with my left and strike coming out. When I'm doing this, you want to lock the Tonfa so it's in a strong position. Step with my left. The edge of this goes to the centre line of my body, so I've got a powerful movement. Now if I move off to the side this way, you can see it strikes coming out. And again, if I do this from a reverse position, so you can see the opposite angle. Making a lunge strike. I pull the Tonfa over to my left side, I step forward with my left leg and strike coming out with it. So I move in, strike out. If I change off to this side on it, arms go across the waist and I strike out. And again, if I change my angle over, arms come across the waist first, stepping forward into stance and then striking out. Combining movements, Jodo Nagyuki, a rising block, with Gyakuzuki. Technically it's not Gyakuzuki because it's a punch, but I'm just using these as references. Going to step forward, rising block first, and a reverse strike coming out. So I'll move 1 and 2. Off this side, 1 and 2. And changing my angle over, 1 and 2. Outside forearm block, forward stance on movement 1 and a lunge strike on 2. So I move 1 and 2. Moving off to the side this way, 1 and 2. And around to this side, 1 and 2. I've taken a fighting stance and I'm moving forward, inside forearm block first, jab and move back. Inside forearm block, jab and back. Changing my angle around, block, jab and back. And over onto this side, block, jab and back to fighting stance. Going to have a look at a rising cross block. On this I want to step forward and I'm going forward with my left leg, but my right arm comes on top of my left. So a move coming in, but I just want to show you strikes after this when you're doing the movement. So a step, block up, strike, move back. The same can be done on a downward cross block. I step with my left, right arm comes onto the top, I can strike out and move back. So just show you that again. Cross block going down, strike and back. I'm going to use this part of the Tonfa, and what I'm doing is I'm swinging it around this way, and this is going to be classed as a hammer strike. So I step forward and strike out on it. Right? And when I've done that movement, I want to come in and use the other part as a palm heel position. So I come through 1, 2 and finish. Looking at a back stance and blocking out to the side this way. Right? Once I'm in my back stance position, I'm going to draw my foot back so I come into Niko Ashidashi, which is the cat stance, roll my fist as if I'm going to do Urakenuchi, and then strike coming out with the Tonfa. So I have 1, move in, strike, back and finish. I'm doing a flexible strike moving out to the side with this. This would be a blocking position. But once I block off with this, I'm drawing it back, swinging my body around and then doing like a roundhouse punch. So I step, block out 1, draw it back, strike coming around 2. In a close quarter situation, I'm using a blocking action where I'm using part of my elbow and then driving the Tonfa into the side of the person. So I block on 1, and while I'm in this position, I can uppercut 2. So I have block, draw around and strike out 2. Holding these so both handles are facing outwards. My first movement I want to show you is where I'm visualizing a kick coming through and I scoop and move out the way on this. So I'm using my left leg, I step out to the side, scoop. Next movement, I'm striking and I'm using this part as if I'm striking into the throat. Another scooping action that I want to show you is where a kick is coming in and I'm stepping out of the way and I'm just moving off to the side and using the Tonfa handle just to come through and scoop to the side. Once I've done that, I draw the person's leg off balance and then strike out using the edge or the hammer part of the handle. Reinforcing blocking areas gives you extra strength. Now, this is one of the reasons I favour a longer shaft on the Tonfa, because what I'm doing is I'm bringing this forward, but I'm also bringing my hand up onto the back end of it, so that way I've got a strong movement through. And this will be a rising block and forward stance. Off from this, I draw it around, so I change the handle around so it just goes into the bend of my arm, and this is on my right arm, and I can strike out with it. So you can have, look, 1, 2 and back. And off from another angle, blocking up, changing it out, strike and back, and then just changing my angle over, block, strike and finish. outside forearm block is okay, but for extra strength, I reinforce this. Now as I'm reinforcing it, I don't step too far forward. My angle changes slightly over to the side, so that way I can block as an attack comes around. Off from this, I'm stepping forward and I'm doing a lunge attack. To give myself a little bit more power on this, all I'm doing is just supporting my hand. This is my right hand just going just above my elbow joint. So a movement off from here, block and strike. Reinforcing an inside forearm block. This is a normal block, and all I have to do to reinforce it is bring my one hand up and lock it into position. From that position I want to do a jab, and to reinforce the jab I bring both hands down onto the handle, so I'm wrapping one hand around the other and striking out. So I have 1, 2 to finish. Blocking out this way is reasonably powerful, but for extra power I bring my other hand onto the bottom. I've always got my thumb just going to the outside. So I step, turn and get a powerful block. From this I'm going to come into a ko-budo, which is a straddle stance. I brought my palm heel onto the back of it and I can thrust coming out using the end of the shaft to strike. So my movement will be 1, 2 to finish. Practicing with the Tonfa with a partner, you need to consider your partner's safety. For this, you need to practice controlling the strike with the Tonfa. All I'm doing is I'm swinging out, making a strike, but all I have to do is do touch contact. When I'm swinging this, I initially control this with just the finger and thumb, and then when I want it to stop, I use the rest of my fingers as a brake. So as it comes out, I strike and back, out, strike and back, out, strike and back. I can also do uppercut, so I'm going under this and striking, and then I can do a reverse strike, swing around and bring it back, out, swing and back. You can also do combinations of movements, so you can just get used to doing the flow of movement and get used to touching with the Tonfa. Learning how to control strikes using 2 Tonfas is exactly the same. You just have to practice with either hand now, so you're bringing these out and striking coming into the bag and just making touch contact. I can do side strikes or uppercuts, or I can turn my whole body around to the side where I'm striking out and doing a double side strike. I'm going to have a look at some attacks. The first one's going to be a downward blow. It's coming into my head and a block strike, reverse strike with this, kick to the groin, move in and strike to the back of his head to finish. The attacker's doing a side blow coming into the head area. I'm moving in and I'm blocking and pushing his arm away from him. I'm using a cross strike position, moving back and doing a double strike, drawing in, kick, and strike to finish him. The downward blow's coming into my head area, and off from this I'm parrying it and pushing it out of the way. If you do the attack again please. So I move, drive it out of the way. Off from there I'm making a strike until I'm going to hit him into the temple area, drawing around and hitting him, so I'm using both Tonfas to thrust coming out, draw back, kick and finish. The attacker's armed himself with a small staff. He's making a lunge coming into my stomach, and all I'm doing is I'm quarter stepping, moving out of the way. As a quarter step, I'm using the Tonfa and smashing it down onto the top of his thumb. This is going to break his grip. If he does his attack, I move out the way. I'm then coming in and striking into his knee area, drawing back, thrusting these forward so it goes into his face, a front angle kick and an uppercut to finish. The attacker's been foolhardy enough to decide he's going to try and do a kick coming into the groin. He does his kick, a quarter step moving out of the way. As a quarter step, I'm blocking down into his shin area, hitting me into the groin, striking up, drawing back, thrust strike in, change him around, strike to finish. We're having a look at some close quarter attack. Attacker's arm with a kosh, going to do a downward blow, if you just show everybody, coming in towards my head area. What I want to do, because it's close quarter, I want to reinforce off the movement. So as he does his attack, I reinforce it. If he pushes down against this, it's incredibly strong, but I'm pushing the weapon away from me. As he does his attack, I block him, swing this around so I'm thrusting coming into his stomach area. I use a rolling hand position and strike into his face to finish. Attacker's doing a side blow coming into my head area. So he's swinging this around, trying to hit me on the side of the head. I want to reinforce this movement and block it to strike out. Again, if he pushes against this, we should be in a powerful position to stop him off. So as he does his movement, I block him. I'm taking it going down into his groin area, and I'm bringing this so the handle, so the shaft is just going up onto his side of his neck. Handle goes to the back of his neck. I slide my hand in front. I apply a strangle, push him away, kick, strike to finish. Reinforcing an inside forearm block on close quarter. Now, for close quarter means close, swing toward it. Swings a blow coming around, and I'm blocking coming out. I'm just using the edge of the tonfa. Again, it should be nice and powerful. Off from this, I'm just pulling the shaft across and hitting him into the solar plexus sternum area. A strike coming out with it, move away, and strike with the shaft to finish. Attacker's doing a downward blow, and I want to stop him off with a rising cross block. As he does the attack, I move coming in and just block him. He pushes hard down against this. You can see it's quite powerful. Now, he's done a reverse attack. So I block him over, I'm drawing him down to the side, and I'm just hooking these so it draws the weapon back in towards his face. I can move back away from this, give myself some room, and then strike. Attacker's doing a side blow coming into my head area. I'm moving in and I'm blocking him with this, and I'm reinforcing the block. If you do the attack again, so I block, and I take this off, and I'm striking into his rib area. Just once more, please. So I come in, block, strike, I draw this so I'm using the handle to push his head down, hand comes up, and I start to strangle him. Bring my knee coming into him, step, drive him away, strike, move back and finish. Attacker's doing a stepping attack, downward blow. I'm going to quarter step out of the way, and I've got the tonfa held in my right arm. As he comes through, I'm making a strike coming out, hitting him up around the throat, and coming in and doing a strangulation. Knee kick goes into the kidneys, I kick him into the groin, push him forward, strike, move back and finish. Downward blow coming into my head area, and I'm going to work to the inside. So as he does his attack, I'm swinging the tonfa around and striking into his hand. This is going to disarm him, so I move coming into him, I'm moving, I've got my forearm across his throat, the tonfa just goes to the back of his ankle, I throw him down, then I can move in to strike to finish. Downward blow coming in. Now, if you have a look, I'm holding the tonfa, but the handle is pointing downwards. As he does his attack, I use the one arm to parry out the way. This is my left arm. If you do the attack again, and the weapon is driven towards him. I'm coming up, and I'm striking into his groin area, getting him off balance, do a foot sweep in, and I can strike to finish him. Attacker's doing a side blow coming into my head area. As he does the movement, I'm ducking underneath it and using the tonfa to strike across the centre part of his body. If you do the attack again for me, as I do the movement, I'm going to step coming into him, and I'm using the tonfa to go just to the ankle joint. My one arm, which is my left arm, has just gone up, and all I'm doing is I'm pushing to take him down. I bring this around so I can control his leg, move in, strike and finish him. Attacker's doing a lunge attack, knife attack coming into me. I'm going to quarter step out of the way, but I'm using the one tonfa and I'm striking into his hand. So again, we may get a disarm off this if you do the attack again for me. So I move off to the side into him. I'm moving forward, putting my shoulders into him, sweep his legs away, strike into the kidneys to finish. Attacker's doing the lunge, and I'm working to the inside of him. As I work to the inside of him, I'm swinging the tonfas out, so I'm making a double strike. One going into the wrist area, and one up onto the back of his neck. If you do the attack again for me, please. So I'm moving into him and strike. I'm doing a cross position through, striking out, strike, double striking to finish him. The attacker's doing a downward blow coming into the head area. And what I want to do is I want to show you how to parry and use the tonfa. Now, all I'm doing is I'm using the handle and I'm just drawing his arm around as he does the attack. My other arm is going to follow this through and I draw him off balance. Once I've got him off balance, I'm going underneath his arm. I place the tonfa onto his shoulder, bring my thumb just onto the tonfa so that way I can start to lock him. Roll, bring him down to the tatami, the mat area. I keep the lock and control on him, draw it over, in, and strike to finish. The attacker's going to do a lunge coming into my stomach and I'm moving out of the way. When I move out of the way, I'm dropping the tonfa over onto his hand and making a strike. Now this strike is going to crush the back of his hand. So he does his attack. I hit him and my other hand, being my left hand, takes a hold. I start to roll this across his hand. As I'm rolling it across his hand, I'm drawing him off balance. Tonfa hits him up into the face. I bring my knee down just in between his bicep and tricep. Put the tonfa so it pushes down into his neck, and then I can strike to finish him. A downward blow coming into my head, and all I'm doing is I'm parrying his arm and moving out of the way. I use the back end of the tonfa just to parry his movement or his attack coming through, and then I'm striking up into his neck area. Right? My other hand, being my left hand, just goes into his shoulder blade if you do the attack again. So I parry out of the way, move into him, step through, throw to take him down, up, strike on the knee, move back and finish. Attacker's doing a downward blow and I'm using my left arm just to parry to move this out of the way. So as he does his attack, I parry. I make a nice circular motion with the left arm and then bring the tonfa just up onto the back of his neck. So he does his attack, I let this flow through in, then I take a hold of the tonfa, pull his head towards me, knee kick, let him roll to move away, in, and strike to finish him. Doing a straight punch coming into my face. And all I'm doing is I'm quarter stepping, moving out the way. Once I quarter step, I'm using my left arm just to come over and deflect his arm and then draw him back off balance. Does his attack again. I move into him, tonfa comes up into the throat, I step through, take him down, and I can strike to finish him. Attacker's doing a downward blow and I'm using the tonfa and I'm just using the handle and I'm using this as a parry. As I parry this out of the way, I bring my left arm just underneath his elbow and start to draw him off balance. You do your attack again. So I move around, draw him down to the floor, I point the top of the handle, or the shaft, sorry, down onto the mat area on this, and his arm is resting onto the handle, and as I drop down, if I put my knee hard down onto the back of his arm, it would break his arm. I can disengage, strike to finish. Attacker's come in, he's got close quarter attack on me. Tonfa's just down by my side, and what I'm doing is I'm lifting it up, I'm holding it in my right hand, and I'm just going to use it to direct his arms away from me. As I do this, I start to trap his arms, so I've got a powerful lock coming on him. I can step around, draw him down to the floor, strike to finish him. The attacker's come in, he's got a hold onto my lapel. Tonfa's down by my side, so it's a little bit concealed from his view. Right? I bring it up, bring my thumb, and this is my left hand just going onto the back of his wrist. Hand just comes over and I start to roll. Now this is going into the radial nerve. Extremely painful. I can take him down, move coming in, I keep a thumb lock going on him, strike to the groin to finish. Attacker's doing a downward blow and I'm using the tonfa shaft just to parry his arm out of the way. And I'm starting to make a circle coming around and I feed his hand with the tonfa, so I feed his hand over to my left hand, I go underneath his arm and then I hook this so I have a figure 4 position. I can take him down to the mat, I hook this around onto his arm and I've got a powerful lock and control to finish him. The attacker's come in, he's got a rear strangulation on me. Now, I've got the tonfa held forward so he hasn't been able to see this. I'm going to move back and I'm reinforcing the strike. Bring the tonfa around and I'm just bringing this onto the back of his tricep muscle and I start to roll. This causes him a great deal of pain but locks his arm up. I move into him, lock and control him, strike to finish. Attacker's coming through and he's doing a bear hook to me and he's going to pin my arms. Now in this position I've moved back slightly and I'm bringing the tonfa just around to his back and then starting to squash him. I took my hips coming into him and I'm doing a hip throw just to draw him over onto the side, dropping him down. I've got to control this, so when I take him down, I put my knee into him, draw it out, and strike to finish him. Attacker's doing a downward blow. I step to the outside and I'm parrying with my left arm. I'm moving through and just hooking this up around onto his neck area. I took my hips into him, throw to take him over, knee comes down into his chest so that way I can lock and control him, disengage, roll this to finish, strike and done. attacker's come in, he's got a front strangulation. Now, I've got some posture stance. If you squeeze a little bit harder on this, you can see my arms and legs are free. Right, now I had to tense my neck muscles up so I'm not going to get hurt. All I'm going to do is move forward, make a strike with the Tonfa. I hook this around to the back of his leg, draw him down to the floor, move over, place the Tonfa just to the inside of his leg, and then slide it up, but you can also slide it back down. Then I can strike to finish him.